Hello, fellow pipers. Janez here, and welcome to the 20-minute pipe show.
Silviu here.
And thanks again for tuning in into our show. I'm smoking this Stanwell Royal Guard 182, and in it some Amphora Kentucky.
And I'm smoking this 50s downhill Wenge. And I'm smoking some A2 Dark Sea from Dominique.
Okay.
Yeah. Today I was thinking about somebody that asked me about stingers. And I think that this subject is not explained too well, probably, that I get from time to time questions about stingers and inner tubes, and sometimes about balsa, about filters. So maybe I should talk about what is the purpose of the inner tube. So the inner tube was invented in 1915 by Dunhill. This is a 36 Parker, and it has an inner tube. Okay. The only purpose of the inner tube is to keep the pipe clean, the shank, and most of the stem. It has no other purpose. So you smoke the pipe, you clog up the stinger, you take it off after a year, let's say, or a few months, and you throw it away and you put another one. That's why with every new downhill pipe in the past, maybe even today, I'm not sure, you would get 6 inner tubes. But then you could buy more. Yeah, then you could buy more from them. Even today you can find them and buy them. Okay, so the only purpose of the inner tube was to keep the pipe clean, nothing else. But then, okay, this is another 1936 Parker, still made by Dunhill. It is a little bit different than a modern Dunhill stinger. But Dunhill also used this system with this little thingy here. Yeah, it will completely block the draft hole here, and nothing actually would enter the shank. Yeah, so not even smoke that it's around the draft hole, you know. Okay, now the stingers. The stinger has totally a different purpose. So this is a rope from the 60s. The French went all the way in innovating about stingers. The purpose of the stinger is to cool down the smoke, to condense the moisture from the smoke and drip it down in the shank, and for the wood to absorb that moisture. That's why some of them are massive, let's say, to have more metal or aluminum, that it's colder than wood, usually. In general, I mean, it's colder than wood. And when smoke touches the stinger, it will cool down the smoke. It will make the water condense the moisture, yeah, and it will drip in the
shank.
And the briar would absorb some of the moisture. Yeah, and even this downhill that I'm smoking today with bamboo, the purpose was not to make a smoke dryer or something magical. In the 30s, when they had, usually in the war times, when they had problem getting big pieces of briar, they couldn't make big enough ball and shank, just small pieces just to make a ball. They started using bamboo long before the Danish and so on and so forth. But it also it does something complementary, that it makes for a drier smoke because it's more absorbent. The bamboo has something like a material like cotton inside, you know. It absorbs more of the moisture, so if you have a long enough shank, you will feel that in the smoke. It's a little bit drier. But the negative side of it, and why not too many people are using it, is that they get very stinky. They absorb the moisture and they keep the smells. Nobody talks about this, but I will talk about this. So they stink, these bamboo pipes, after a while, after intensive using. Yeah. You like to use, I also use balsa system that is not actually a filter. What can you say about this?
Well, balsa is a kind of wood that is very porous and it can absorb a lot of moisture. So by taking moisture or part of the moisture out of the smoke, you also cool down a little bit the smoke, and you get less condensation in your stem, and consequently, when you're drawing, some droplets can come even to your mouth and so on. So what I'm using here is, and this is in my case for non-aromatic tobacco, I use this 9mm balsa. Sorry for the glare here. This is a 9mm. This is 6mm balsa. This is being produced by Savinelli. You can buy them in different, either in bags, the smaller ones, the bigger ones, or you can buy smaller or bigger boxes where they come in the usually in packs of 5, and you just carefully put them apart and store them somewhere in either another box or something that you can cover, because they will absorb like other filters that are being used. They do absorb the moisture that is in our surrounding air here. So if you have like a moist environment, they will already absorb some of that moisture if they're on the open, and they will saturate quicker. But what is good about them is when you put them in the filter in your stem here, you just press them a little bit. They're very squeezy. You put them, but they will also act as a blockade towards the smoke when the smoke comes into the shank. So those particles and the smoke will first hit this frontal part, and when I'm taking them out, I use them only for one smoke. When you take them out, you will see that this part can sometimes be more or less clean or whatever, and sometimes it's totally dirty and black and almost like burned or something like that. This is from the particles that come in with the moisture in smoke and so on. So it's good for also that you're not getting all those particles in your mouth. And they are effectively taking out a good quantity of the moisture. Now, you can buy them. I mean, the price, they're not like cheap. If you want to change them after every smoke, I think Savinelli says that you can use them multiple times. You take them out, you dry, and so on, of course. But maybe with, I don't know, 2-3 smokes, they will impart some flavor. Maybe, I don't know what. I'm not doing that, so I cannot tell out of my experience. But what others can do is they can use also active charcoal filters. There are many of them. I use usually this Dr. Pearl. I don't know if this will come true, Dr. Pearl. So these are from Pound. And you have them in different sizes, different boxes, and so on. And they even have this metal box from Pound where you can actually store them inside. store them inside, and you can take them, you can put them in your pipe bag or whatever. I even bought this one that is like 100 years of Dr. Pearl. It's a cup that you can, of course, when you put away the filters, you can actually use them. But some of them are actually filtering. Some of them, if they are bigger pieces like meerschaum pieces that you can also buy, they will actually absorb water, not so much filter, but the more fine they are, particles of either active charcoal or meerschaum, you will be able to, let's say, filter also some other, let's say, particles that are inside the smoke. So balsa for me is for non-aromatic tobaccos, and active charcoal filters are for aromatic tobaccos. If I'm using the pipe that can take those filters and balsa.
Yeah, I have to point out the fact that balsa, they are called balsa system actually because they are not a filter.
No.
A lot of people think they are filters. But one other good thing that the Stinger do and the balsa and the filters, it's keeping tobacco from entering your mouth also. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that it's just a preference from individual pipers. Some of them get irritation if they're not using filters, or maybe irritation from the wet smoke that has higher temperature and so on. So it's good that, and I saw that out of the videos that a number of pipers were switching from non-filtered or other pipes to filtered ones. So those that can take either 6 or 9 millimeter. But let me just show you one pipe. Not only for that, this is like a barling that I have here. I think it's 1813 Trafalgar. A nice pipe with the silver ring and sandblast and so on. And this goes for what you were talking about, condensers, and that the inner side of the shank taking in some moisture when it condenses on the stingers and so on. So it has a normal, I'm using, in this exact case, I'm using, let me just use my pliers here. I'm using this to reduce the draft hole here. And you have this normal 9 millimeter hole that you can put in either balsa or any other active charcoal filter. But I didn't have many smokes when I found out that this ring is not really attached to it. It's a silver ring, okay, but it goes down. And then I discovered here that what they did is they drilled a hole and inserted plastic tube that will take this stem. So they're effectively covering the surface of the wood that could intake some moisture. Plus the wood is thinner there. I mean, it's being reinforced with this tube that is being glued inside, but this prevents the wood to take in some water. But again,
we must say it's a new barling,
Yes, it's a totally new barling. I think it was around 140 euros or something like that. But this is like a very bad move from barling, or the company that makes barlings, that actually you make a pipe that is actually falling apart. So I could easily like open the pipe, take out the stem, and I could lose the ring somewhere if I'm outside or I don't know where. So this is not good. I'm going to glue this one with the glue on this plastical tube so it will not come out and be lost maybe sometime. But for 140 euro pipe, this shouldn't be the case. So the new
Yeah,
pipes are of lower quality, let's say, not only regarding the wood, but also regarding the manufacturing and how they are
yeah.
put together. And so
That's why
I,
I'm telling people that for these brands, legendary brands, that most of them are not owned by the original makers. These Baling, for example, it's a German company now. So Era, it's everything. So don't just think that you buy a hard castle made today for 60 euros or a Barling and think that they have anything in common with the 30s ones and the family era ones. So they are just a name today, and they're very different than the old ones, the original ones. So era, it's everything.
so we know that there are different periods in the history, especially if we talk about last, let's say, 150 years, regarding the quality of production, regarding the quality of material, the craftsmanship. So we can clearly see that back in time, in let's say so-called family eras of different brands of pipes, producing a high quality product was something they were proud of. And when the brands were exchanging hands and ownership, we can see that most of them, not all of them, but most of them are lacking the quality of the previous owner, just because it's a new reality. So having less cost of production and maybe still getting the same amount of money or maybe even more out of that, just on the basis of the brand name, not on the basis of the quality of production and materials. So we need to be a little bit more careful about that. And if we are buying pipes that are more expensive, and we know that brands have different lines of pipe, different price groups, and so on, if we can, maybe it's better for us to go to a normal tobacconist where they have pipes, and at least if we are not satisfied with the prices there, at least check the pipes. Maybe look at them, see what is the level of the craftsmanship, the quality, at least of manufacturing, before we are like deciding on buying, and even if we are buying online. But to check a lot about this and do some homework. I mean, we are spending hard-earned money there here, and it's good that we know that what we are going to buy, it's at least of the quality that is equivalent to the price. And if we go, of course, above that, we know that we are paying actually a brand name and not so much the quality. Even if the quality is high, the prices can be outrageous, and it's just for paying for the brand name. Right? So one more thing I wanted to say is that I received yesterday this tobacco. It's Storm and Dance special blending tobacco, Louisiana Perique. Those of you who are interested in my videos about blending and mixing and pressing and so on, you know that I bought a number of blending tobaccos, and I want to do a Virginia Perique. This is so cool. So this is a Virginia Perique, not Virginia Perique, but just pure Perique. And I have this Robert McConnell Pure Virginia that I will mix this Perique in, because the Robert McConnell Perique that I bought, one tin, was had some how do we call that?
Moisture. It was dry.
No. It was
Mold.
It was moldy. It has a funky smell and everything, and I could see it on the tobacco. So I went with Torben Dansk. Now I hope this will not be the case, but I think we have like a half a minute left before we finish. I can actually open this and check it out. So the seal was not broken. This tobacco is being produced by Den Tobacco. You can see out of this paper here. And it's interesting how it's being, see, it's in the bag. And the tobacco smell is totally different. Wow. Nice and sweet, and I don't know why I'm getting a little bit of cocoa here, smell, but very nice. And I'm going to use these 50 grams to make 400 grams of Virginia Ferrique, and then press it together and mature it for like a year or two or so on, before I try.
Yeah. You smell the cocoa because, as Per Jensen said, if it smells like something, it has that something in it.
Yeah, most probably, but it's really nice smell. I have to air it out maybe and then take another whiff and see what is really there.
Yeah.
So I hope that you found this talk about stingers and inner tubes, filters and balsa system interesting. And again, I think the advice to check on the quality of craftsmanship regarding the pipes is something that we should do before we spend money when we are buying new pipes and stuff like that. So, any last words, Silviu?
Yeah, usually these legendary brands, most of them are bought by probably German companies, but most of them are made in the same Italian factory somewhere that produces from cheap pipes to medium priced pipes. So they're not, it's a different to get a Barling made in England by Barling or a Hardcastle. It's different than getting one made in Italy today. So, but that's why the good prices.
Yeah. So with this, I wish you all great weekend and a lot of pleasant smokes.
Ciao.